do this, and not in the AV scanner way either. Okay, here we go. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for ICONversations. The ICON program is designed to celebrate our company's top producers. These agents have not only exceeded capping status, but have also reached exceptional milestones, earning them various stock grants and the opportunity to earn back their paid company dollar. Today, from Texas, we have Jamie Brannigan. From Florida, we have Tom Tillier. From Texas, we have Keenan Beck. From California, we have Charlie Dowd. And our amazing moderator from Ontario today is Michelle Kennelly. Michelle, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Very excited for this panel. It's going to be good. We're going to have some good tidbits of information for everyone. So I hope everyone's making some notes or tuning in and staying here. So we're just going to go through and introduce everyone really quickly. I'm Michelle Kennelly. I am from Ontario, Canada. I'm from a teeny tiny little place, but I service quite a large area, Kingston, Belleville, Napanee, Ontario. I've been with EXP for just over 5 years. I've iconed each year. And I don't run a team, but I run a collaboration, and we are kicking so much butt, and we are making deals happen. And it's been an amazing year. So let's flip it over. Who wants to introduce themselves next? Jamie?
Sure. I'm Jamie Brannigan. I am in Texas, specifically the Frisco area, right around Dallas and Fort Worth. I've been with EXP for just over a year now. I was actually with EXP quite a while back, left for a hot minute with the intention of always coming back because I knew this is where I wanted to ultimately land. I've been an agent. My anniversary was 11 years a couple months ago. So I'm loving it here. I'm really excited to be part of the panel and glad to be next to all you great agents.
Amazing. Who wants to intro themselves next?
I'll go.
Who's that?
My name's Tom. My name's Tom
Oh,
Tillier. I relocated from Michigan 3 years ago to Tampa, Florida. So basically started my business completely over. Knew nobody, but I had to get out of the cold. So I hung it up in Michigan after having a successful business there and started everything over. And now I'm on stage here at ICONversations, trying to help out wherever I can.
So cool. Yeah, it's cold. You were close to me, and it is freezing. I can attest to that.
Yeah,
All right,
I'm
Charlie.
I'm happy to be where I'm at now.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Charlie was on the stage. Is he around? Did I miss him? Are you here?
I'm right here.
You're here, right?
I'm right here.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Awesome. Hey, yeah, so nice meeting you guys all. My name is Charlie. I am from California. I've been licensed for about 8 years now, since 2017. 27 years old, about 1 year with EXP so far. So, first year is my year hitting Icon. So it's a great accomplishment. All I see is them, but, big people, big names when I see Icon. So I do appreciate you guys for having me.
Amazing. Welcome. And congrats on your first year earning Icon.
Thank you.
Hey guys, Keenan Beck.
Keenan?
I'm still trying to figure out how to move around. So I'm trying to figure out how to kind of line up in the back. I see you're moving around. Let me see. I got my megaphone
Use
on.
your arrows.
Oh, got you. That just
Yeah,
keeps turning
sometimes
me
I'll
around.
go to the front of the stage and turn around, and the reason being is because you can see, everyone's face on the panel, etc.
Oh yeah, Keenan, you're on. You're good. You're good where you're at here. Yep, there you go.
All
Keenan,
right.
do you want to intro yourself while you're moving around?
Yeah. Keenan Beck. I've been with EXP since 2016. Been doing real estate since 30 years now. So since March of 1995, Austin, Texas. I've iconed every year since I've been with EXP. I'm not sure how many that is. But I guess my anniversary date's March. So, but yeah, I do some luxury. I do some development. So I've got some developer clients that I work with, and it's really it in a nutshell.
Very cool. Okay, so Keenan actually sent a bunch of questions, and I really love the first bit of this because there's always speculation of market changes and recessions and dips in the market and everything like that. And I think most of us on the stage have been in the business a little while, except for Charlie, I think has been only a year, but that's okay. He'll have a good perspective on this. So I want to jump into building a business that thrives in every market. And I want to know what you're doing. What are your key habits or systems that are keeping your business strong in slower markets?
So are we?
Keenan, you can jump in first if you
Okay,
want.
okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Um, so for me, it's like the daily discipline, time blocking with calls, consistent outreach, and definitely lead gen. Um, for me, it's like my client database is obviously like my over the years I've built that up and really just created a lot of good connections. So staying top of mind, whether it's calls, texts, mail outs, doing events. I used to do a lot of handwritten notes. Now I've just gotten so tied up. I haven't done as many, but I still try to do handwritten notes, which I know is a little old school, but a handwritten note I feel is like extremely effective. And then just proactive conversations, just reaching out to clients, seeing what they need, not asking for the business, just being there as a resource, adding value. So questions like, do you know anybody? If I'm going to ask for a referral, I do it in a way where it's like, do you know anybody that might have any questions in real estate? Not necessarily asking them, but just if they know anybody that may have some questions in real estate, so I can be a resource. I also help them with protesting their taxes, preferred vendor list, lender referral if they want to refi, just whatever they need. I want to be their go-to, anything real estate related, or even if it's something on a personal level that I feel I can help with. And I think that's what's really kept me my business strong during slower markets.
What kind of market are you in right now? Or what are you seeing?
Well, I'm in Austin, Texas. So during COVID, we got a huge boom where we saw 30 to 40% appreciation, a couple years in a row. So we really shot up. And so now we've got a ton of inventory. Homes are not moving very fast. Even when interest rates drop, we don't see a lot of people get off the fence. So we're in a pretty slow market. I think this is the slowest market I've been in. And I've been through a couple prior kind of downturns. I consider Y2K and 0809 a couple. And so I think, typically these things run about 3 years. So I'm hoping that that's going to wash out sooner than later. But that's the market we're in.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Tom, do you want to jump in? What are the key habits or systems that you keep in your business to keep it strong in slower markets? And
Sure,
then maybe touch on what your market's doing currently.
sure. Our market currently in Florida has been a buyer's market for probably 2 years. And while we're more of a buyer's market than most of the country, it seems like a lot of the country is already shifting over towards it. So we had to start fishing where the fish are biting. And in Florida, I have a history with new construction, so I gravitated towards that. And my job, not knowing anybody, was to learn everything I could about everything when it comes to neighborhoods being built. They have the best rates. They have brand new homes. It's a huge new construction market where I'm at. So we started making video. We're YouTube. I'm a YouTube agent, I guess, and my consistency on YouTube is what's been driving my business. Majority of my business is people relocating, trying to change lifestyle, and wanting to buy in or around Tampa. Once they understand what new offers, they end up buying new. So I do listings. I do have listings. They sit right now. Everything's a little quiet, but the buyers are still flocking here and they're chasing the lifestyle. So we're painting that lifestyle picture for them. They're contacting us. We get them on a Zoom. We turn them into a true client, a true lead that's actually looking. And then they fly in, we take them out, shop around, and because we know a lot of the new neighborhoods and all the people in them, it makes that a lot easier.
Very cool. What part? What part of Florida are you in?
Tampa.
Oh, Tampa. Okay.
So yeah,
I'm
so
gonna
that's a
miss that.
pretty big area. That's a pretty big area
Yeah, it's
because it
huge.
kind of covers Tampa, Sarasota, uh, over to Lakeland, and even we even do business in Orlando because we're kind of in
Wow.
the middle of all of those. So it's a pretty big market, but it's primarily Tampa.
Okay. Very cool. All right, let's hop over to Jamie. What are some key habits or systems that keep your business strong in slower markets? And then maybe touch on what your market's doing.
Okay, so my business has shifted, I would say, like probably like year 7 or so, where it was almost or is almost entirely referral based. I don't really do a whole lot of I don't do cold calling. I don't do door knocking. I never have. It's never been really in my wheelhouse, probably because I'm not great at that. My comfort level's more like just person to person, customer facing, just keeping relationships intact. My former career was in banking for almost a decade, back in all the way up until 2014, which is when I transferred over to being a full-time agent. But that base of clients I had in the banking industry were pretty heavily invested in the stock market. And so I was a very low position bank employee, but I was a licensed banker back in the day, which kept me in that investment realm. And when I started understanding those numbers behind investments as it pertains to real estate, that's what the trigger for me was to leave the bank. But with that being my background, I still have a lot of colleagues that are in that industry. And when some of their clients would become really stock market heavy, they would send them to me. So I developed a pretty large base of, or semi large base of investor clients. I don't do flips or anything or wholesaling or anything in that realm, but really just being a landlord for a real simple long-term rental. And I'm in the Frisco, Dallas, DFW area, Collin County, Denton County to be specific. And so we're right next to like a new Universal Studios, the PGA, the Star, the Cowboys, like every sports, small sports team. All these things are happening here. There's a lot of relocation coming here. California, a lot out of the country, everything. But during this market, which is super terrible here, to be honest, like certain price points are obviously better and there's pockets that have done well, but generally speaking, it's like chewing on nails a little bit here. But similar to like Tampa, you were saying, Tom, with the new construction, it's killer here for investors. They used to not sell to investors and now they do, and they're all coming out of the woodwork, and all my investor clients are buying. So that has been kind of like the shift in this weird market where that has kept me really afloat, and I'm just as busy as I was last year and the year before and everything. So I'm grateful and blessed, but that's kind of what it looks like here in DFW.
Okay. All right, Charlie, what are you doing? What are some key habits or systems that keep your business strong in slower markets? And I know you don't have a ton to touch on, but let us know kind of what your market's doing and how you, any systems that you put in place and key habits that you do.
Yeah, so I do have like an ISA team and an admin team, and they're constantly prospecting for me, and that's on a good market or a slower market. And in a slower market, it's good because it helps just get appointments. It saves me time from lead generating, um, which most agents don't like to do, unfortunately. So that's just kind of what I do actually. Yeah, I mean, I have my admin team who and my ISA team who's trained to call and use hooks like grant programs and all this cool stuff to help buyers want to see what they can qualify for and if they can get free money. For example, we use certain hooks like that, and they tend to have a good response to that, right? Like when you offer free money to someone for buying a house, they tend to like not say, "I don't want to hear more." So they hear more. We book appointments, and my city is great for first time buyers. We're 45 minutes from LA, so it's a great like circle of tactic that we use because we call prospects from in LA who are renting that can buy in our city for the same price a month, and we offer them these cool programs, etc., which a lot do qualify for. In my area, we do have grant programs that we can offer, so that helps out a lot.
That's pretty cool. I don't have a ton of experience with grant programs, but that would be awesome for incentives for people shifting from renting to buying. Very cool. Thanks everyone for sharing. I'll touch on a little bit of what I'm doing. So my market is up 6%. A lot of agents are very slow. I am the opposite. I have sold 4 houses this week. So I'm quite busy and I'm picking up listings almost every other day. So I am busy. My team is busy. It's been good. But what I do, my key habits and systems that I'm always doing, regardless of the market, touch points. So key habit for anyone who's new in the audience or even experienced, or you're kind of in a bit of a slump or whatever, go back to your database, go into your phone, just message people. You can message people, you're eating dinner, you could probably text, 20 people in that span and just say, hey, I was scrolling through my phone, was thinking of you. How are you doing? I hope everything's great. I saw that you're working on this project. I saw on Facebook that you were building a shed. Did you finish it? Does it look good? Whatever. Or I saw your kids just started school. That's great. How are they doing? So it's really not that hard to have conversations with people, and that's one of the things that I've done since day one. It's just like nonstop conversations with people. I don't do cold calling like Jamie was saying. I hate cold calling. I don't do any of that. I don't pay for leads. I don't do any of that stuff. It's all organic. It's all referral based. So I always have those touch points with my clients, because you never know. You can message someone and say, I saw your kids started school this year. How are they liking it? Great. They're loving it. They're at blah, 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 blah school. They're doing this and that activity. Oh, by the way, I met this mom at the school and they're actually thinking about selling and buying. So is it cool if I pass along your number? Yeah, that's the coolest thing you could possibly do. Pass it along. So you never know what will spur that. Whereas maybe they weren't thinking of you, you weren't top of mind, and now they've, didn't make the referral or a recommendation to somebody, and then they've moved on and used somebody else. So staying top of mind with all your clients is super key. And again, like I've done this since 2016, since I started. So I've never stopped doing it, and I've always done time blocking. So for me, it looks like I'm kind of winging it for social media a little bit, but I do have a plan, and I do get a lot of clients through social media. So I do put a priority on being on there and being present and being myself. So I get a lot of engagement and a lot of interaction through that alone. So those are two things that I'm consistently doing just so I can stay top of mind with everybody. And then of course, running my business. So updating my CRM. I have an admin. She does all of that stuff. She's, checking in and making sure all my paperwork is in order and all that fun stuff. But yeah, that's sort of what I'm doing. So we will hop into our next question here. What does consistency look like in your lead generation and client follow up? Keenan, you wanna jump in?
Sure. Yeah. If you want to keep it in the same order. So I guess doing the simple things, I don't know, weekly and doing them well. So some examples are maybe 5 daily personal touches. Weekly, I'll maybe shoot a video. I'll occasionally do some, or not even occasionally, I'll do some weekly YouTube video. Weekly, I'll do an SOI email with a video in it, embedded in, which may be something that's like a current event that's happening this weekend. So that's kind of at the beginning of it. And then I'll have, some possibility of some listings or just some information I think that they might be helpful. And then monthly, I do a farm newsletter. It's like a newspaper that goes out within my neighborhood. I try to do a minimum of at least one quarterly call per SOI person that I've got my SOI. And then the one that really helps me a lot is 2 to 3 events per year, whether it's a happy hour in the spring, back to school matinee, or my holiday party at the end of the year. And that holiday party, I do stuff where it's like Toys for Tots. A couple of Marines come in to pick up the toys while my guests are there. There's food, drinks, Santa Claus. They can take photos. I send them the photos later. I even create kind of cards, like thank you cards for attending, but I actually put the photo of them and their family or me with their family on that card, and write them some kind of note and send that out to them. But it's just really staying consistent. What I see with a lot of agents is, they start to do these things, they get busy, and then they drop them because they're too busy to do them, and they don't have a system in place where as soon as you close, that those 2 or 3 or handful of transactions, but you stop doing that lead gen or those different touch points, then your business, you're kind of starting back from scratch, kind of starting over, trying to build things up. So you go up, down, up, down. It's just a roller coaster.
I
So
think
definitely
that's so key.
consistency. Yeah.
I like what you said there. It's the consistency of constantly following up and doing those client touch points and not getting so busy that you drop them off. You have to have those systems in place to continue that, or else you will get busy. You'll absolutely keep going in your business. You'll be busy. You'll be meeting people. You'll be running the roads. You'll be doing all this stuff, and then if you don't have the systems in place, then stuff falls off, and then, oh shoot, it's coming up to Christmas and we have nothing in place for our holiday event.
And I mean, look, if you're busy, you're making money. So just
Yeah,
either hire some VAs or an outside marketing company or whatever it is, put the system in place, and then just have it running on your behalf where you dip in and do what you need to do. And they're making sure they're holding you accountable to make sure that you get whatever you need to get out on that deadline, or at least you're reviewing what needs to go out, and then it's done. And then more business will build off of that consistency. So,
absolutely. Very cool. I like that. Okay, I think I went to. Did I go to Jamie second,
Yes.
or did I go to? Okay, yeah, Jamie, go ahead there. What does consistency look like in your lead generation and client follow up?
So I'm going to kind of out myself here. So I I wish I was more like Keenan. I have always, to be completely frank, struggled with organization on the back end of things, in terms of like, I'm going to time block, I'm going to do this, I'm going having a super duper great structure that, I mean, at this point, 11 years, let's be honest, I should have that in place, but it really, whatever it is, for me, it's always just been a natural thing, similar to what you were saying about just staying. It looks like things are randomized, but there's kind of like some method to the chaos. And that's kind of how I have always been. My database has always kind of been tidy, but what I've done with it has not always been exactly the same or built on some great system. I really just done my best to stay in tune and in touch with the people that I work with. And that could be because I'm working with them because I knew them from something else. So we're already involved with each other. But I've never been the kind of person that was had events and things like that in place. It's really just been a one-on-one customer relationship. Um, and that it has worked for me. I think I've consistently done since I started, even my first year in real estate, somewhere between, I don't know, 20 and 30 transactions every year, maybe sometimes more. And they're not like crazy high dollar amounts, but the transaction count had always been there. Therefore, I had regular experience happening all year long, every single year. It just had kept me in tune with my clients, and I stay there with them. So I still will communicate with people from transactions that were done 10 years ago, and I'll continue to do more. Yes, I lose some here and there. Probably could always have room for improvement, for sure, without a doubt. But I just continue to stay myself. I'm not a super outgoing person. I think my friends would probably say something different, but I really am kind of more or less a homebody, and it's a lot of work to get myself out of that circle, like out of that thinking. So one-on-one for me is generally better as it pertains to work. So I just honestly, I have my database. I stay involved in it. Like I know exactly what's happening all the time. And that's kind of how I've always rolled. I'm just kind of like a lone ranger. I've always been on my own. I've never been on a team or anything of that sort, but I'd love hearing what other people are doing. It gives me like hope that I could eventually like maybe get myself organized in that sense. But it's always really just been me being in tune with my database. And that's honestly really it.
But I think that's important. I think everyone needs to find what they're good at and what they want to do. So if you don't want to put the effort into events, like I don't really do events, to be totally honest with you. I've ran a couple client appreciation events, but I didn't feel there was huge value in it. So I just went back to doing what you're doing, like connecting with people on a one-on-one basis and doing pop buys instead of big events. And I'm stopping in to see them, here and there and sporadically, and giving a phone call here and there. So I'm kind of the same as you, where I don't actually put a ton of effort into, but I think that just works for your business. I think that works for my business. And like Keenan's events and touch points, they might be different and it works for his business. So that's what's the best thing about this business. It's no one size fits all. We're all kind of just doing different things. And you might be at your kids' sports events, or you know, whatever theater events or whatever they're doing, right? So you're in tune with people, and you're probably seeing people all day long. So I don't think it's really a huge issue. You don't host events, right? I think you're in the public eye and you're around people consistently.
Yeah. Yeah, we're super similar in that sense. I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was literally at the rink this morning at 7 a.m. Like the sun wasn't even up yet. And, I'm chatting with
Mhm.
other parents and moms. And it's like, okay, that's fine. This is where I have to be in life. And I'm watching my kid play hockey, and that's totally okay. So I don't have time to throw an event, unfortunately, but I will be at the arena.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, Tom, we'll jump to you. What does consistency look like in your lead generation and client follow up?
Well, I'm so glad Jamie went before me because consistency, geez. So I've gone through bouts. Back in Michigan, I used to be really consistent with a lot of things. My morning routine was spot on. For whatever reason, a lot of it disappeared. And so there's parts of me that are consistent. So for instance, every Tuesday we're recording video, dawn to dusk, dusk to dawn. I mean, just we're all day recording video. Fridays, I do Friday follow up for my clients. So what I do when I have a listing or active buyers, I let them all know, hey, if you don't hear from me throughout the week, it's okay. If you need me, call me, text me. I'm here. But if you don't hear from me, I'll call you on Friday. Okay, so that works really well for me. That's worked for me for years. But the video consistency is my most consistent thing right now. However, this was a conversation I've been having for the last 2 weeks with different people that are in my circle. And we're talking about consistency, getting back into a morning routine, because I see my business doubling. I see it doubling if I just had better disciplines when it came to everything outside of video. And so I do have some things that are consistent and a whole lot of things that aren't. And that's me being very vulnerable in front of everybody here saying, got a lot of work to do. But I think that's what's great about it. Like you said, what's great about it in this industry, it doesn't really matter what you do as long as you do it. And I just locked in the video. But I've been neglecting my database because I've been building my database. I've been neglecting, consistency for reach outs to different verticals just to supply business. And those are things that I got really good at in Michigan. But for some reason, when I got here, it all changed. So I'm getting back on that train after EXPCon. Some things are going to change. So that's where I'm at.
I think that's okay. I say this to everyone. Everyone's always like, "Oh my gosh, how do you do this like work-life balance thing?" And I always say to people, I there is no balance. Balance is nonsense. It's choosing the priorities of the day. So if today my priority is, family, which is taking my son to hockey, and working and putting effort into this, business, and the extracurricular doing this, then that's it. That's cool. My husband can pick up the food. I won't go to the gym, and that's it. That's all. So tomorrow I might prioritize, three other things. Like I will prioritize getting into a workout in, and I will prioritize family time, and maybe a little bit of work, and like friend time. So there's really just, that's totally cool. I think, Tom, probably doing amazing and it's working for you. So if you don't have the routines and the structure and the consistency today, you might have it tomorrow, and you might have it in one thing or two things or a handful of things today, but not tomorrow. And like that's fine. We're human. That's okay.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. And, considering I'm really consistent with the video and being on Tuesdays, and I'm consistent with my follow up on Fridays, now it's
That's
time for me
huge.
to add another layer, like get one more piece, because I'm the guy historically that always, when I make a change, I make all the changes, and I do it, try to do it all at once. We've all been there where you're like, okay, this is what my business is going to look like now, and then you completely fail because you took on too much at once, too much change at once.
Yeah.
So now, as I get into this more, or more experienced, I guess, I'm just gonna add on another piece. And then once I get that down pat, I'm gonna do it again and do it again.
One piece at a
And
time.
yep, you got it.
That's totally cool. But you're consistent with video. So like that's huge. There's probably so many people that are in the audience or even on the stage that keep saying, "Oh, you know what? This week is going to be my week. I'm going to do more video." And then it doesn't happen. So the fact that you're already consistent with something like video, which I think is super important, is already huge. Like that's one big step that you're already doing.
Yeah, it's about 90% of my business here.
Yeah, that's huge.
The
So
other,
there you go.
maybe, yeah, it's about 90%. So if I could double down and triple down on video, and I'm about to, I just need a VA to take care of a lot of other things that I'm working on too. Once that all happens, then the video will double, and everything else will kind of fall in place.
Yeah, I have faith. Have faith that that'll happen for you. It'll be good.
Appreciate
Um,
that.
Charlie, let's hop over to you. What does consistency look like in your lead generation and client follow up?
Yeah, so we kind of leverage that part of it out just because, like I said, I'm not very good at being consistent with that. So we have like certain people who are dedicated to follow ups and lead generating. We do have a Care Bear VA, for example, who basically does all the touching points after a client closes. This includes utilities. This includes just checking up how everything is going, requesting reviews, asking for referrals. And so, for example, they're just dedicated just for that. We do have an admin dedicated just to send out MLS links to text, not just not just subscriptions through the MLS or emails. And that's because we want it to be consistent as well and have their phone buzz with a link. So certain things like that we do, like for priority clients, they must get texted MLS links that match their criteria for a certain amount of days. For nurture clients, same thing. It's a longer gap. And then for pre-approved clients or clients who are getting pre-approved, we have someone who's dedicated to also like follow up with their pre-approval process and do all that good stuff. And that's just kind of how it stays consistent. Because to be honest, if I put it on me, I probably wouldn't be as consistent. So we have certain people kind of being consistent for us, and my task is just to pick up like the ones when they say, "Hey, Charlie, he's good to go, ready to see houses or sell his house, whatever the case is." That's when I kind of go and show up, and they'll put it on my calendar, and then I'll facilitate that part of it.
That's awesome. I mean, acknowledging that you won't be consistent and hiring the people that will be is huge. Like I think that that's a good acknowledgement on your part that you did that, 'cause we're all in this. We all don't love certain aspects of it. I know I don't love doing any of the paperwork. So I have an admin. She does all the things for me. So I don't have to, and I can be out with the people. So Tom, you might want to connect with Charlie on his VA recommendations there. Might help your
Oh yeah, by the way, guys, if you need VAs, we definitely can help you guys get VAs. It's like $6 an hour, and it's not more than $1,000 setup fee, and that's it basically, or $2,000 setup fee. I think it's max.
All right. Well, I connected with all of you on Instagram this morning, so
oh,
thank you.
amazing.
Thanks.
Very cool. Okay, let's chat about how you prepare sellers or buyers and or um, to stay realistic during shifting markets. So how are you prepping sellers on listings, and then how are you chatting with buyers on, like I'm having the issue where all my buyers want to submit lowball offers, and because they think, oh well, there's a ton of inventory on the market, we can use lowball and it'd be amazing. And then on the flip side, we have sellers that are wanting to list super high and aren't realistic about price because their neighbor during COVID got $1 million, so there should at least be 800 when you gave them a CMA for 550. So, what are you doing to prepare your sellers and buyers to stay realistic? Keenan, we'll jump back to you.
Good deal. Well, real quick on the last question. So one thing I loved hearing everybody's, answers on consistency. And one thing I would want to definitely comment on is the consistency for me. I'm not a consistent person. All the consistency comes from my team. So I've got a director of operations that literally does all these things for me because I'm literally in the same boat as all you guys. So all the things that I get done between my director of operations, he knows like all these things have to be done. He knows they're scheduled on my calendar. Everything's kind of put in front of me. So if you can't do it, you just got to find somebody with, has the strengths where your weaknesses are, and they're able to kind of do all that stuff for you. So that's one thing I would definitely look into. And I definitely have got 2 VAs, and they're great, and they definitely help out a lot. And I've also got a coach that holds me accountable a little too much every weekly call. It's pretty rough. So I definitely feel for all you guys, and I'm happy to talk to any of you guys about even trying to find that right key person to kind of help you integrate all that stuff, so you don't have to deal with it. You can kind of focus just on yourselves.
I'll touch real quick on this, just for the audience, anyone who's sitting out or listening. I listened to something that Ryan Serhant said a long time ago, that he hired an admin, he hired a driver, when he didn't even have any income coming in, because he knew that that would force him, like all the systems would be in place, and he had a driver taking him places, so that gave him time to connect with clients and get that business. So if you are newer and you think, oh man, I can't get an admin because I don't have the business to support it, well, get the admin, because it's going to give you your time back to then go and get the business, and it's also going to motivate you to go get that business.
Yeah, I agree with that. It'll definitely motivate you, and you can always split an admin with another agent.
For sure. But VAs now, gosh, the cost of having a VA, like even mine is actually licensed and she's local, and I've worked with her since 2014. So I know her very, very well, and I trust her with all my business. But even like I pay her, upwards of $20 an hour. And even that, like, it's well worth the money.
No, I agree with that. I mean, your hourly is probably worth more than the 20. So
Exactly.
especially when you're doing sales. But yeah, let's jump into like setting realistic expectations for buyers and sellers. I'm in the same type of market. It's been pretty difficult. I'm in the same boat. My neighbor sold their house for X. I should be getting X, or this is what I paid for my property. I have to get this number. And so it's really tough with sellers trying to set those realistic expectations. We've got a ton of inventory. Stuff's not moving. You can't price it really even to market and then hope to get an offer. You almost have to price it just under market to show that it's of value, just to try to get some offers coming in. And one thing I heard on a podcast the other day is when you're kind of working on that, you can basically ask your client, or at least the seller, are you wanting to come up with a price where you have some room to negotiate? And typically they're going to answer yes. Yeah, that's exactly what I want. So they want to start a little bit higher because they want to be able to obviously negotiate their deal. So if you're setting a lower price or an aggressive price, you got the option then to negotiate up versus negotiating down. And so which position would you rather be in? I can't guarantee that, you're still not going to get a lower offer, but you don't have to accept those offers. So that's kind of a key thing I started doing recently. But, setting those expectations, really, it's just being honest and educating them. I lead with data and kind of show them their options, which is like, look, this thing can sit on the market. The one thing, I met with some clients yesterday on a property, and they're like, well, look, we're happy in our house. We don't need to sell. We can wait. And, my response typically to that is, the longer you wait, the longer that your property is on the market, the worse price you're going to get. I can show you a million stats out there that say that if your house is on the market for 5 days compared to 500 days, your actual list price to contract price is always going to be weaker with more days on market. And that's not a good position to be in. When you start doing the price drops, it's not a good position to be in. We really need to come in strong right out of the gate so we can get this thing moved. Here's the data that supports. Here's how we do it. Here's how it systematically works. And, it's just really setting the expectations. The other thing I do with my sellers too is if I already know in advance what some of the comments are going to be, whether it's, hey, you're on a busy road, or your primary bedroom's too small, or your living room's too small, or you got power lines in the backyard, whatever it is, I set those expectations in advance. This is probably the type of, comments we're going to get. This is the type of feedback we're going to get. So we really need to be in a position where our price is according to the condition of the property. There's only 3 things that you can do when selling your home. It's price, location, and condition. We get the condition down, we can't do anything about the location. We're really down to one lever, and that's price. So the other part with buyers, the same boat, right? We have a ton of inventory. They want to come in low. And I start with supporting information with just the data. Look, here are all the homes that sold that are like this property. They've all sold for considerably higher. And, their typical response is, well, let's just see if we can get it. And, a lot of times we won't even get a response. If they come in low, you're not going to get a response. So if your offer gets rejected, you're going to be in a much worse position, because if you really like that house, you're going to have to come in much stronger, because you've already kind of upset the seller. And when somebody sells their property, something they've lived in, their family's been in, that their kids' first steps in the house, it's an emotional sell. And to them it's just like a jab that they don't like, and you're just starting off on the wrong foot right out of the gate. So I try to really, again, it goes back to lead with data and show them what their options are, whether it's the buyer or the seller. Try to get them to understand why that doesn't make sense and what offer would make sense to try to land at a number that's going to work for both parties. And that's really what I do.
Okay, so I have I'm going to be the devil's advocate here. So
Yeah.
I lead with data consistently. I go to listing appointments and I take a million notes and I take some photos and I tell them, okay, we're going to meet back up and I'm going to go over the numbers and we will chat and make a plan. So I present the numbers back to them and I say, these are direct comparables to what you have. Here's the numbers. This is what it sold for. These are days on market, 3 bedrooms, the same as yours, 2 bathrooms, the same as yours, garage detached, same as yours, whatever, kind of going through the numbers, or I have to do adjustments or whatever. And you say, okay, well, I think we should be somewhere around the $699 price point. And that's only if we're listing in the next couple of days or in the next couple of weeks, sorry. And, they think on it and they get back to you and say, okay, well, I want to list for $825. And you think, what the hell? I literally just went, I did the research. I gave you the data. We talked about a game plan of marketing, and did you not listen to me at all? Like, is anyone else having this issue?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I do, I guess you do almost like a 2-step process where you go back, kind of run your numbers and then submit it to them. I typically will look up the old listing, try to figure out in advance what kind of updates and upgrades they've done to the property. And I try to already have that CMA with all the data in place right then. And I'll have a range of a low and a high. So whenever I'm going through all that data, I like to do it on the first appointment where we're face to face, and I can start looking at, body language as I'm giving them the number, what their body language looks like, which it's always a defeated look. Like, oh, I was expecting to get, 825 and I'm only getting 700 now. And, we put all this money into the property, or we're going to lose money. We bought at the peak, whatever the situation is. It's like, look, at the end of the day, this is what the data is showing. Here's all the homes that have sat on the market. Here's how many days on market. Here's where these guys started. We're really putting in a worse position. and I want to figure out what their motivation is, and I'm going to bring it back. I try to figure out the motivation before the call, before the appointment, during the call, so I know what their pain points are. And then I'll try to kind of bring those back up to them at the appointment. So, all right, well, let's say that we were to go with this 825 offer and the home didn't sell and you sat on the market for 120 days or 180 days or even longer. How is that, would you be happy just staying in the house if you can't get that number? And I'll go through a little bit of a routine with that where I'm really trying to bring back the pain points of why they're motivated to move. If they're not motivated enough, I probably won't take the listing. If they're stuck at that 825 price point, my conversation to them, and they're really stuck on it, and we're at 700, we're talking about $125,000 difference. I'll try to settle at a much lower number, maybe 725, 749, with the expectation that we may have to do a reduction if we don't get the activity or an offer within a certain time frame. And if they're not willing to really budge, I just won't take the listing. I'll just tell them, look, I don't think I'm going to be able to really service you properly. There's probably other agents out there which will try to buy the listing, which is telling you what the price is, and they're just going to, obviously, you're not going to get any activity. You're going to get upset with them. The activity that you're going to have, it's not going to be good activity. It's just probably people wanting to see what kind of inventory is out there. But you're going to have to get the home ready, get everybody out of the house, be inconvenienced for a much longer period of time just for you to end up at this price. And then ultimately you're going to end up even lower than what you would have originally gotten if you would have just started out of the gate correctly. And if that's the number you want, and that's the only number you can do, you're stuck on, I may not be the agent for you. And I just will bow out and let them go with another agent and hope that they get back in contact with me when that other agent fails and we can come to a realistic price, because the second agent that comes in when somebody overprices their property is usually the one that's going to sell the property.
Yeah, I say that all the time. Be the second agent in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you don't have to take all the listings, because ultimately you take that listing, you're going to spend a bunch of time, effort, and money, and then you're going to end up being the first agent that lost it to the second agent, and they're going to sell it and get the glory. So exactly. It's not worth just having more signs in the yard. I mean, at the end of the day, that may look good in a neighborhood, but that sign sitting there never going pending or sold doesn't look good.
Yeah, agreed.
So you don't want that on your name either.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Hey, Jamie, let's chat. What are you doing to prepare your sellers and buyers to stay realistic in this market?
So currently, or I should say, I guess really this year, I've been pretty even 50-50 almost with buyers and sellers. It took a really big turn here, specifically in DFW, Frisco area where I am in. Probably it was April transitioning into May became a nightmare. So it was truly different January through March, and then it started to change. So as I ended up getting super listing heavy, because that's how my luck works as things were going downward. I don't think I've ever had that, and it's not a lot. Like I said, it's just me, but I think I had probably 4 listings active at the same time, all sitting ducks at the same time, everybody losing their mind at the same time. So there was a period of time where I had comps, right? I was able to foresee what was happening then, but we couldn't predict that it was going to take a nosedive. And so that was a little bit of a wild ride right there. But as we transition into that, the way that I prepare my sellers when I'm going to the appointment, I'm generally, thankfully, not competing for the listing. I'm usually a referral, so it's a little bit easier, I feel like, when that happens. But I'll go in, obviously, with the CMA. I'll research the neighborhood. I know what the inside of the houses look like. I'll take notes. And then when I go, if I have not seen the inside, I'll, take a tour of the home with them, ask them questions. How's the roof, water heater, HVAC, blah, blah, blah. But once we sit down and have a conversation, get my notes out. Okay, guys, did you have a number in mind? And that is generally where I lead with, because then I can kind of decide if I'm going to have to pick them up off the ground or like if we're aligned, so, and I can navigate that a little bit easier if I know what I'm working with. And so, That is kind of how I have went. I have gone on an appointment. This gentleman actually called me off of a sign because the listing sold right away in the terrible market. But it was at a different price point when he had me come in after speaking with him. Like I already knew. I was like, this is the drill and this is how it is. I have honestly zero interest in taking on a listing where the people cannot hear the words that are coming out of my mouth, because I have a situation going on right now with really old, great clients of mine that I've worked with a number of times, but at a certain point, people only hear what they want to hear. So if I can get the idea that they're not on board with what I'm saying, I just don't take the listing. I won't follow up, honestly, to be honest about that, because I can't sleep at night. If I'm trying to work and do a really good job for somebody, I will literally lose sleep and stress out, so it's just, I prepare them literally from the get-go. And if they want to move forward, I just make sure that they're super, super clear on what it is that I share with them about the market, because I want the expectation to be very, very well known. But it's also great because I do rep buyers at the same time. So I can tell those same sellers, this is what I'm seeing. It speaks a lot, because they're like, okay, this person understands what's happening in the market. So when I tell them we're going under contract for my buyers and our appraisals are coming in extremely high because we are never offering asking, so they kind of understand, this is the drill. And I try to, as I'm sure pretty much any other agent would, hey, put yourself in buyer shoes. If your house is on the market for 125 days, are you offering asking? No, you're not. Right. So those types of things are super helpful, but just for me, and this probably is the same thing I do throughout different parts of my relationships, my life in general, is just setting the expectation, because I'm super high anxiety. I stress out very easily about things. I have to probably talk things to death with people, which I'm sure becomes annoying to an extent, but setting the expectation, whether that's buyer or seller. On the buy side, if we're going new construction, I'm like, let me tell you all of the wonderful things that are about to happen to you, So it's just being in tune with the market, having your ear to the ground, and just being present in that real estate space in your specific market, because literally 45 minutes up the road, if you're under 400,000, you're going to have multiple offers, but you're not going to know that unless you're studying what's happening there. And so it's really great when you can share that with a seller or a buyer on specifically what's happening in the area that they're looking in. If you have no idea what you're talking about, then you're going to be a hard sell to, it's going to be difficult to get them on board with you. But setting the expectation and being knowledgeable, it's pretty easy to sound confident if you have those two things, rocking.
Absolutely. I think you said something there super key that I say to my clients too. So I work with a lot right now. I don't know what it is. I have a lot of sellers that also need to buy, and those sellers that also have to buy want to lowball those other sellers, and I have to have that conversation. Like, listen, you don't want to be lowballed on your house, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Well, why are we lowballing so hard that we're just going to offend them on this side? Like, you'd be offended if someone brought this offer to your house, right? If we're trying 50,000 less or 75 or whatever, and it's just not realistic for that. It's like, oh yeah, no, I really don't want to be lowballed on my house. You're right. So let's just be more reasonable, and then showing them the comps. I really think we should be at this price point, given the comps in the area that have sold in the last 60 days or 90 days or whatever. So that's super key.
Yep. Agreed.
All right, Tom, how do you prepare your sellers and buyers to stay realistic?
Well, once again, aligned with Jamie in a lot of ways, very much so. So
Love
I
that.
also lose sleep, and I also had a whole host of listings, and we had a couple hurricanes that came through last year in Florida, and everything started sitting. Buyers stopped buying, sellers stopped selling, and so it got a little stressful, and it scarred me a little bit. But in Michigan, I was an 85% of my business was listing heavy. So I got really good at listings. And gosh, I hate to say this, but without exaggeration, I could walk into 10 listing appointments, walk out with 9. Okay. Because of the marketing we do and some things that we try to do different than maybe the next guy. However, here with these listings, kind of back to, is it Keenan? Is it Keenan? I apologize.
Yeah,
But
I think it's yeah,
yeah.
Keenan.
So back to
Yeah, I'll
what
go by
Keenan said.
Keenan or Keenan, either way.
Okay, cool. So back to what Keenan said. There are. It's all about. Oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. Thank you guys. Sorry. So, geez, oh Pete, what did you say, Keenan? Had me going. Anyway, setting the proper expectations is obviously number one. Okay, and letting them know exactly what's happening with the market, being truthful with them, because quite frankly, the buyers think it's '07 and the sellers think it's 2022. There's a discrepancy.
Mhm.
Okay. Buyers think they can get a great deal, sellers think they can get all the money. So the mindset shift now, okay, I know where I was at with that lost thought. I used to be able to walk in and get any listing for any listing appointment. Now I'm choosing not to. Okay. And I it's a mental shift. And I basically tell myself, if I go on 10 listing appointments, I only want to. Now
Right.
that's really hard to digest for me. But I'm giving myself permission to say no, because for so long I couldn't give myself permission to say no. I'd take it, oh, we'll work through it, nice house, we'll sell it. I don't want to lose the opportunity. And now I'm being very selective. If they're if they're not gonna be easy to work with, we got a problem. If there's no flexibility, and I can see that right up front, we have a problem. I can do all the marketing in the world, but if it's not priced right, we're it's not going to sell. It's
So
just, this is the
you're a
market
sign in
we're
the
in.
yard. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's does nothing but causes a lot of stress.
Yeah.
Um, so that's where we're at now. My goal, coming back from EXPCon, is to turn on a prospecting engine that we built. Um, we did it. It worked really well last year when we used it, but a way to get in front of expires and FSBOs where they call you. And it was working really, really well. I'm going to turn it back on with the intent of going on 10 listing appointments and getting two, or with 10 listing appointments and getting three. Because if you have, three good listings that are actually going to sell, then you're fine. But you just got to go on more appointments to get the end result now. And that's the big change in my business.
I think you have to say almost like this is an interview process for both of us when you're meeting
Yeah.
with sellers. You're interviewing me just like I'm interviewing you. We might not jive, and that's totally okay. And we might not be on the same page, and that's okay. Like there's obviously going to be an agent for you, but it's an interview process both ways. And I just want to make sure it's a good fit before we proceed with moving forward together. And just you need them to take direction. You need them to actually, like, why are you hiring me if you are not going to take my advice? It doesn't
Yeah.
make sense, right? Now everybody's just wasting their time. I've just put a sign in the yard for what reason? So, um,
Right.
yeah,
And
I
even
just
some of them, you take the right comps, you get the right comps and you think you're pricing it right and you think you're doing the right thing and it still sits. We've all had those. Like, okay, this is priced right. What in
right.
the world, and some of them are clear, obstacles are very clear what they are. And
But I
I
think too,
just
like
got,
you can price totally right, and then they don't list with you for 2 weeks, and the market has shifted so much, and then they're like, "What the hell? I thought you said we could get this." And it's like, no,
Yes.
like the market has shifted. I'm not a liar. It's just the fact that you're late.
so it's challenging, but giving yourself permission to walk away from the listings when you have a listing appointment is number one for me. Giving once I got there, I got comfortable. I was like, okay, I can do this. I can say no. It's really tough though, because you get there and you build the rapport. You're doing everything. You did the research. You get there. You're all excited. It's a listing appointment. Come on, we're all excited about those. And to walk away from it, sometimes you question it, but more often than not, you're probably glad you did it.
I think your gut tells you, right? Like,
Yeah.
this might not be the opportunity I want to move forward with, and that's fine. That's okay.
Another, as much as and as far as the buyers go, as much as the new construction is a benefit for me, new construction is a humongous obstacle here for resale.
Oh,
So another thing that a lot of people don't do, we'll do the typical half mile, 1 mile comps, but I'm looking for the nearest new construction neighborhood. I need to know what their offerings are, what they're selling, how far it is away, because these new construction neighborhoods are really tough to compete with.
Right.
And if it's a 2,500 square foot home for the same amount of money, but it's brand new and this other one's 20 years old, plus they're paying $25,000 towards your closing cost and giving you a 4.99% interest rate,
That's crazy.
we got a problem, right? Like we're going to have a problem selling this house unless it's got, the pool's already done and everything's all, if it's got some unique values above new construction, of course, and there's a lot of them that do. But if it has something very unique or the neighborhood's unique or something's different, then great. But you have to look for the new construction neighborhood that's tied to it. I say tied to it, tied near it, because everywhere you turn here, there's one within a couple miles. And you have to know what that competition is. And when you go in for the listing appointment, I'm bringing that information as well as an additional comp set.
Yeah, you're prepared. You know
Yeah.
your stuff. You have to.
Yeah.
I think that's any
and
listing appointment, right? Like you have to know everything about the neighborhood or the area that you're trying to sell. That's the whole point of them hiring you as a professional and for them to listen to you. If you go in and they don't feel or get the vibe from you that you know what you're doing, that you're toast. Like you're dead in the water at that
yeah,
point.
confidence is huge.
Yeah.
Looking them straight in the eye and saying, this is what it is. And don't doubt it. And I used to work for corporate America and we had this, we used to sell large ticket items to car dealers, marketing wise.
Okay.
And one of the things that we were trained on, and I use it every day, quote the price without a quiver. It's the same thing as a listing at a listing appointment. Quote without a quiver was the quote. And it was a big thing because when you're confident, you can state a price and you're not him and hawing over a price or him and hawing, oh, I think it will sell for this, or I might sell for this. Those
You
words
gotta
will kill
trust
you.
that person.
Yeah, those words will kill you, and those words will stop you from selling something to a car dealership like I used to. So those are just a couple things that I work with every day. But the stress, I can feel it, Jamie. Thank you. That stress is not fun. So we're about to turn that stress bucket back on though, because we're gonna stack up the listings with hope of a better 2026. That's for sure.
I love that. Okay, Charlie, you moved, so I didn't see you there. How do you prepare your sellers and buyers to stay realistic during this market?
What we do is kind of give them pricing strategies. So similar to what you guys were touching on, basically, when it comes down to sellers, when I go to my listing appointments, I give them 3 pricing strategies. There's aggressive, market value, and aspirational. Each strategy has the average days on market with data behind it, like why it takes that long if you list it at this strategy. So it kind of has the seller pick their own pricing strategy. Like they pick what price they want to be at. And when they pick the price, it'll tell them there what the average days on market looks like for that pricing strategy. So they kind of, pick their own poison basically. So that's just kind of how I deal with sellers. I let them pick which strategy they want. Um, and they usually go for aggressive or market because then they see that I have on aspirational could take 300 plus days on market, right? So I put stuff like that there where it does kind of help justify them going for aggressive or market. Aggressive says, from 7 to 35 days on market, and that's priced very aggressively. So we do stuff like that for sellers. And when it comes down to buyers, it's just basically on the lender. I mean, there's not much that I convince them besides that every time I talk to a buyer, every year they wish they bought instead of waiting. And don't wait to buy the house, right? Buy the house and wait. Um, and everyone knows that date the rate, marry the house thing. So we use tactics like that to kind of help out. And in my area, like I said before, we have grant programs and stuff right now in our county. So that does help us with buyers because there's never grant programs out for us. So when they come out, it tends to be easier to convince a buyer to buy because they're buying a house with maybe $1,000, $2,000 out of pocket. Which I always recommend agents to look around and see if there's any grant programs out there, just so you can at least use it as a hook to talk to clients and then get them in the mix of talking to a lender, etc. And if they qualify, great. And if not, at least they tried, but at least you got them past that first step, that first base. And that's just kind of how we operate, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. You're setting the procedure for them. That it's true. I mean, we have our people be pre-approved before we even go out looking, so they know what they can afford. But how I'm doing it with my buyers right now, if I just have first time buyers or buyers that aren't selling something, I'm preparing them by just saying, "Okay, your pre-approval is for, let's say 600,000. We can look anywhere between, $0 and 650 because right now our housing is 20 to 30% over where it should be. So we can go in with a bit of a low ball, especially first time buyers who don't have a home to sell. That seller now doesn't need to wait for a chain effect of sale of homes and closings. So that's a huge bonus. If I'm working with sellers and buyers, so the buyers that also need to sell, we're getting their house on the market first. We're getting it prepared. We're getting it stage ready. All the media is done. We're getting it on market, or we have everything ready to go, and then we're ready to jump on market once we do have something accepted on the other side. But again, being very realistic, like, hey, we're going to offer on this house. I believe that all the comps lead us to offering at this price, and I can justify this to that listing agent when we are submitting this offer for a bit lower, that, these are the comps, this is the reasons we're kind of coming in at this, where we're at with number. They have a home to sell, so we are coming at this price because they have a home to sell. We're expecting you guys to wait on us to sell that. So it's a huge ask on that side. So again, preparing people for the loss, right? If we are offering on a house and they get bumped from that house and we have their house for sale still, being prepared to have an open mind to keep looking is also huge. And then selling of homes has definitely been my biggest struggle. I'm probably a 90-10 listing versus buyers. And the listings have been a little bit of a struggle. Some people listen amazingly. They hire you. That's the whole reason they're hiring you. They trust your opinion. They trust the facts, which is fantastic. And then other people are super unrealistic, or they have you in and you're chatting with them, and then they chat with family, and the family thinks, oh gosh, your house should be listed higher. Why are they listing so low? Well, here's the comparables. Here are the numbers that I'm showing you. So again, sitting down and being really realistic with the numbers. And then what I do is I have that conversation at the point of signing, and whether it's in person or virtually, I have that conversation like, hey, I'm also including an amendment into the listing docs that you're about to sign, for 2 weeks time. If we do not have any action, we have no showings and we have no offer within 2 weeks, we're doing a price reduction to the number that I said that makes sense. So most people agree. Most people sign that amendment right off the hop at listing to know at the 2 week point that that is going to happen. Some people say, I don't want to sign that, but come back over in 2 weeks and we'll have that discussion. And maybe you can bring back over some comparables, and we can chat through that. So that's been a tactic that we have been using, is the right off the hop amendment. We'll go with your price for 2 weeks, but if we have zero activity, we're reducing, and here's that paperwork for you to do that right now, because you promised me, I'm promising you that I'm giving you 2 weeks at your price. Right at that point, we can't lose the market any further. And then I also have the conversation with people, with sellers especially. What's your timeline? I don't. I need to sell within 6 months. Okay, perfect. I think the pricing strategy for 6 months needs to be on this piece of paper here. Or if they say, I don't need to sell. I'm not in a huge rush. Well, then A, I'm either not going to take that listing, or B, I'm still going to ask for the price that I told them at and go to market. And if they don't agree, then I potentially won't take that listing, or I take it for like, a few months and that's it. And then we kind of move on. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing, because our market is a little bit tricky right now.
Agreed. Setting those expectations with that preempted price reduction has been really good for me too. Like
It's
making
huge.
sure they understand right up front, hey, here's the plan. And then I actually go further. I put in metrics. So I'm like, okay, 3 showings in the first week. And you can do whatever it's going to take. And then you drop it prices and you do it every, like, say, 7 to 10 days. And you have it coordinated, right,
Yeah,
to exactly what you're going to do. And you might go past just one drop. You might go to three. Yeah,
right.
3 adjustments. And that has worked for us. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I think that's important, right? Like you're showing them, hey, I'm super serious about selling your listing, but you need to be super serious with me and be realistic. Like if you want me to sell your house, that's my job, then please let me do that and go by my guideline. Does anyone have any more to add to that conversation?
I'm good. I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like new strategies. This market's like a little bit bananas. So we're winging it a little bit, but we're doing the things. Okay, I think we're like at the end here. Brian, you want to jump back in?
I'm here. Does anybody out there in the audience have any questions they wanted to put in the chat box for any of our panelists today? Go ahead and do that. We've tested the chat out so we know it works. Coffee, anyone?
Yeah.
Listen, you guys have been great. We're just going to wrap this up today. Michelle, as always, you're just an amazing moderator. All of you on the panel, thank you so much. Drive safely today. All of you out there on YouTube, smash
Looks
that like button.
looks like somebody
Oh.
has a question.
Oh, we do have questions. So smash that like button and stick around for some more. We have who? Okay, who in the audience has a question? Okay, go ahead. Type your question in the chat.
They're both typing.
Okay, if I'm a new agent, oh, how can I become an assistant to an experienced agent? Ooh, that's a very good question. I would have those conversations, and I don't know if you have a local chat um, for your area. Obviously, with Slack, you can go on there. But I would just call all the experienced agents that you know, and or even not super experienced agents, those ones that might be up and coming, and have those conversations. You know, how can I assist you? How can I help you? Can I, take on some of your admin? Do you have an admin? Can I take on some of your open houses and your showings? And maybe it becomes like a pay per show. I have some inexperienced agents and some newer agents that do showings for me or sit inspections, whether it's home inspections or septic or well. So I will pay for those people to go and do that because it frees up my time. It's not tasks I need to sit for like 2 hours or 3 hours of inspections. I can pay them to do it, and then they can get that experience. So honestly, talk to every single agent that you know, and see if you can get somewhere with them. And then if someone calls you, what are you looking for? If someone were to call me, oh, okay. If someone were to call me, like if someone said, "Hey, how can I help you in your business?" and they're obviously with my same brokerage, I would say, "Yeah, you're going to be the first on my roster to go sit inspections, to do showings for me, to come help me do some of my admin work, that kind of thing." So I would just be really open with them, tell them your strengths. Don't say you're really good at paperwork and then you're terrible at it, because you know how that turns out. But if there's certain things that are your strong suit, really highlight those to those agents that you're calling, and really ask them if you can help them. Does anyone else on the panel here have anything to add to that? If a new agent, how can I become an assistant to an experienced agent? And then if someone calls you, what are you looking for?
I mean, I think for me, one thing if somebody came to me, I think one of the things I would want to see is almost like some kind of resume with, obviously they don't have real estate experience, but what experience do they have? Is it social media? Is it video editing? Is it, being able to show homes, go on realtor tours, whatever it is, the stuff that's going to kind of fill the gaps in or buy me more time? Then that would be something I would look for, something that's going to kind of help my weaknesses, that they have the strengths to my weaknesses. So I would look at that and probably, you know, sit down, have a conversation, whether it's, you know, maybe a per project type basis, whether it's, hey, if you go show 5 homes for me, here's how I want my showings done. I'll pay you per showing. Or like you mentioned, sitting in on an inspection, or, you know, social media posts or mail outs, or just a lot of the stuff that we were talking about earlier with consistency. If somebody came to me and I wasn't being as consistent and they had literally all the boxes that would be checked for me to do all those things, that'd be an ideal candidate that I would probably hire and you know, create more time for myself, and then have, you know, the ability to get more business. So if anybody else has any comments on that also.
So there's somebody in the audience right now that actually reached out to me, and he's with me every week. He comes out every week on Tuesdays and helps me with video. And he wanted to learn video, and so he has donated his time for pretty much all year. And once a week, we end up going to lunch, and we end up talking about everything else about the business too. So hopefully he's getting a lot more than just some video training, because we're kind of at that point where he could go and run, and he's doing well with video now. But he reached out to me, and he was like, hey, I just want to come underneath you and help you, but learn from you. And that's been really good, and it's been a really good relationship, and it's growing, and it's starting to branch out into other areas. So if you are a new agent watching this, or an agent that wants to get proficient in something different, reach out to people. You would be surprised.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to reach out.
The worst people can say is no, right? So, you know, just do it. Just ask.
No, it's been really good. Really good.
That's awesome. I love that. Is there any other questions from the audience before we pack it in here? Okay.
All right. Well, I want to thank all of you for being on the panel today, and all of you for being out there in the audience today. I mean, this was a great show. Again, Michelle, thank you. Everybody on the panel, thank you. You have brought it today. Thank you for coming in early too, and having the little opening with us. All of you out there in the audience, if you're in an active Icon benefit year, you're getting a couple of points just for attending and watching the show today in eXp World. If you're watching this on YouTube,